shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an...
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome back to Mad Matty Fight Talk. Mad Matty here once again with Crazy Chris, who's been on a long hiatus of doing God knows what. But we're here for the super highly anticipated UFC 280 fight card going down October 22nd at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. I can't wait for this. This is a very big matchup. There's a lot of big matchups actually on this fight card. This is probably the biggest fight card of the year. I'm assuming you would agree with that.
Absolutely.
And the main event is none other than the number one contender, which is very difficult for me to say, Charles Oliveira, taking on number 4, Islam Makhachev. Now, this is going to be a big fight. I think it's kind of fucked up that they're having this fight go down in Yas Island. They should have waited for this fight to go to Brazil, because there's also some other people that could have stepped in, but Islam's been asking for the title shot for a long time. Charles Oliveira stripped of his belt after missing weight by 0.5 pounds, which I think is some bullshit. He should have still been the champ. Anyway, regardless, he got a first-round finish over Justin Gaethje in May. So this guy's been going at it nonstop for the past couple of years. What do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup. I've been really, honestly, if you're a grappling guy, this is the fight you've been waiting for all year, to be honest, right? Two of the greatest grapplers we've seen in the division, since Khabib, since, BJ Penn, really, since any of these guys. This is going to be one of those big matches. We know it's going to hit the ground. When does it hit the ground? And to be honest with you, I think this is going to be one right away. It's going to be somewhat of a Khamzat Chimaev effect, right? I think Islam goes in there and he tries to shoot in right away. But I think this is an exciting matchup. I think there's tons of scenarios here, and it's going to be iron versus iron for sure.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because Islam, from what I've seen in a few posts, is talking about how he's going to use the first round to fill him out. Second round, he's going to break him down. And third round, he's going to finish the fight. I don't think that's something you can do against a guy like Charles Oliveira, who's been an extremely underrated veteran of the sport. The man's 33-8, has 9 KOs and 21 submissions, 21. But yeah, regardless, he's been taking out top tier contenders for a long time. And there's no feeling out process with Charles Oliveira. He's going to get in there, and this guy comes from shoot boxing. He's going to go right to work with some nasty strikes. I don't think Islam's stand-up is ready for what this guy's about to be bringing, and that's Charles Oliveira I'm talking about. Makhachev's going to be in for a world of problems. That's what I see. And that's a guy who's 22-1 with 4 KOs and 10 submissions himself. His level of competition, he's fought tough guys, but nowhere near the guys that Charles Oliveira's faced. I mean, what do you think about that? I think that game plan of feeling it out for a whole round, you're not going to have time to do that shit.
For our users out there, and everybody that subscribes and watches our podcast, do yourself a favor. Do what I do. Go on to UFC.com, look at some statistics, right? Because I'm looking at this fight. I'm like, how do I analyze this fight? How can I assume what's going to happen here? Well, I looked at to answer your question, I looked at a few numbers. One, takedown average. Oliveira has a 2.46 takedown average per round versus Makhachev's 3.41. Makhachev is going to take somebody down. Or excuse me, this is per 15 minutes. So Makhachev takes down somebody once a round and they never get up. And Charles Oliveira's quite quickly behind that. Takedown accuracy, 65% for Makhachev, and Oliveira comes in with a strong 40%. Takedown defense, Oliveira with 57%, Makhachev with 88%. Submission average, Oliveira 2.89, and this is average per 15 minutes. Makhachev 1.23. Okay. Now you're saying to yourself, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, that tells us quite a bit of the story. It says, quite frankly, Makhachev is going to win the takedowns. He's more accurate on them. He has a better defense on people shooting in on him at 88%. And he gets his takedowns per round. I mean, that's his average. And then his submission temp is not as much as Oliveira's. So you're going to assume Makhachev is going to get this fight to the ground and Oliveira is going to try to submit him. I mean, that's the way it's looking on paper for me, and I believe that that's the scenario that we're looking at, quite frankly.
Well, here's another little slate of statistics, since you like those. Average fight time for Charles Oliveira, 6 minutes, 55 seconds. That's barely a round, or that's a round and some change.
Islam
Makhachev, 9 minutes, 11 seconds. That's also not bad. But what I see right there is this fight's not going the distance. Both of these guys are on big win streaks. Charles Oliveira has an 11-fight win streak. It could be 12. I'm not sure.
So we're looking
And Islam's on a 10 fight win streak. Both of these guys have a big amount of first round finishes, 15 first round finishes for Oliveira, 9 first round finishes for Makhachev. This fight's not leaving the second round, straight up.
So that tells us one thing. That tells us what you just rounded out there is this fight's not going the distance. Makhachev is going to try to take it to the ground, and Oliveira is going to try to submit. That's what it looks like. And,
Yeah,
and
so-
I think quite frankly this could be the highest, quickest paced grappling match we've ever seen.
Look, I'm gonna give my prediction. All right, we went over some stats. These guys don't go the distance most of the time. Islam's used to wearing people out who are lesser grapplers than him, lesser opponents who don't have the skill set as Charles Oliveira. I say Charles Oliveira is going to knock him out in round one. One, because Islam's stand-up is trash. I don't think he has a solid chin, and I don't think it's really been tested. And the only time it's been tested, he's been knocked out. I think Islam's going to get knocked out in the first round because he is going to be shooting for takedowns. He's not going to have time to stand there and fuck around and try to feel out Oliveira. Oliveira's going to get right in the pocket and start trading. He forces guys to fight. Islam's going to start trading with him. He's going to get countered. He might get kneed in the face going for a takedown. But I'm taking Charles Oliveira by first round knockout.
I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira's second round submission. I think Makhachev does what everybody else does, what they want with him in the first round. And then he buckles down, he bites on his mouthpiece, and he starts banging guys up, and he stays sharp, and his Muay Thai is sharp, and it's going to push push Makhachev, to shoot, and he's going to shoot. He's probably going to get the takedown because he's extremely good grappler, and I think Oliveira locks him into a submission just like everybody else did. Everybody said they're going to march him down and break him. Well, guess what? They marched themselves down into quickly down into low gas tank, and with shots that weren't dropping him the way they thought they were. So long story short, Oliveira round 2 submission.
Yeah, regardless, for me, no matter where this fight goes, there's no way. Makhachev's a great wrestler, but I don't see him getting past the jiu-jitsu of Oliveira.
Well, there is one more fight on the card that's for a title, and that's against Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. We're going down to the 135 weight bracket. We have the old king returning to fight on the new king. Who are you taking in this fight?
Well, first of all, it's a really good matchup. I like the fact that they're giving it to TJ Dillashaw. He's had a long layoff, which I think, even though he got caught doing steroids, he's a fucking cheater. I don't like this guy, but there is one thing I do like about him, his fucking fight style. That kid can fight. He's a beast. And Aljamain Sterling's no joke either. He has 2 wins legitimately over Petr Yan, who is one of the baddest bantamweights in that division, who's been also kicking ass, and he's also on the fight card. But Sterling's 21-3, 2 KOs, 8 submissions. Dillashaw's 18-4, 8 KOs, 3 submissions. I like those odds for Dillashaw. 8 KOs, nasty striking against a guy who doesn't really have the best striking, but he does have a weird, funky style. Now, both of these dudes have a lot of experience. Dillashaw has 7 title fights. He has 18 total UFC fights. That's pretty crazy. A lot of experience there. But I think the experience of him being in title fights is what's going to get him the win in this fight. Because I don't think Aljo is going to be able to stand with him. And I do believe that Dillashaw is a better grappler than him. Now, jiu-jitsu wise, Sterling might have the edge, but I think just overall grappling, I don't think he's going to be able to get Dillashaw to the ground as easy as he did Yan. But what do you think about it so far?
My opinion goes a little bit different. I see that TJ has a great defense at 86% takedown defense, but how many guys actually have pressured him to take him down? He's going to feel real pressure to get taken down by Aljo. Aljo comes in with a weird style, funky style. He likes to kick high, then shoot low for an ankle pick. It's crazy. It's phenomenal flow. I think he gets him down. He grinds TJ out. We saw against Corey Sandhagen that against Corey Sandhagen, he got pushed to the limit. Aljo wiped Corey up in one round in less than 2 minutes and put him to sleep, absolutely out cold. So I think that there's a big chance that Aljo takes him 5 rounds and closes a unanimous decision and makes it just like the last Petr Yan fight, not even fucking close.
That's what you believe. That's what you believe. I'm sure there's a lot of people that believe that. And Aljo did make me a believer after that Yan fight. But Yan's not a grappler. That kid he likes to stand and bang. TJ Dillashaw is a wrestler. He comes from Team Alpha Male, and now he's doing his own thing. But those guys are all high-level jiu-jitsu people. So I just don't see Aljo doing what happens when he gets stuffed. What happens then when they're actually standing and trading, and you're going against a technical, also really weird striking style of TJ Dillashaw?
Absolutely.
I see Dillashaw winning a 5-round decision.
Dillashaw the thing about Dillashaw is he moves very flawlessly on his feet, But the difference between him and Dominic Cruz on the type of punches that come after is TJ sits down. Like he'll stop and sit down and swing. And I think there's openings when he does that I've seen in videos where Aljo's style is just not, it's going to be nasty for him, man. It's not going to mix up nicely. And I think Aljo takes advantage of that. And I think you put Jan and TJ next to each other, similar fighters. One has a different style of stand up than the other, but they stand Muay Thai, fight right in your face. And Aljo just eats those guys fucking up, man. So I think the king stays the king. I think I think it's a 5-round decision. I think he stays and remains the king.
Well, the reason I'm giving this fight to TJ Dillashaw is because, like we saw with Aljamain Sterling, a lot of people don't know, but he had a bad neck injury going into the first Yan fight, so he looked like shit. I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
I just thought he was fighting like a fucking idiot.
He fought with a not a collapsed nerve, but it was a touching disc or something. He had to get space in between the disc and his neck and his back. It was really messing him up. And if you've had any injuries like that, you know it's terrible injuries.
So with that being said, obviously it benefited him heavily to take some time off to heal, to come back, and he looked outstanding against Yan. Now Dillashaw has had plenty of fights, got caught doing a little bit of steroids, whatever. He's a fucking cheater.
Also came out of a 3-year layoff and fought Corey Sandhagen at the top of his game.
Exactly. And it was a close fight. It wasn't like Sandhagen definitely did a little bit more in the stand-up, but Dillashaw did.
He pushed TJ to his absolute limits, and TJ won that fight. There's 3 judges, and they scored it for TJ. I thought it went to Sandhagen personally, but
I thought Sandhagen won as well. But my point is that he came off of the bench of 2 to 3 years of laying off, not facing any serious competition and going right to the top. That shows that this guy still has it. I think he's only fine-tuned things from there. And yeah, I got him winning a 5-round decision because Aljo's tough and it's going to be a grappling war. But I think when the fight stands up, Dillashaw is going to do the damage. Moving on, and one of the bigger fights on the fight card, one of the more heavily anticipated fan favorite fights, number 1 Petr Yan taking on number 13 Sean O'Malley. And to me, this looks like it is definitely going to be the number 1 contender matchup. And it looks like the UFC is trying to skyrocket Sean O'Malley to the top of the division, rightfully so. But it also looks like it's a stupid move for Sean O'Malley, who said previously he didn't want to take on top opponents. And now all of a sudden he's taking on the number 1 guy. So curious to see what you think about this.
Well, I see 2 guys who have some of the highest takedown defense in the game at 135, with Jan 90% takedown defense. So you can see how impressive that, what Aljo did was right there. And Sean O'Malley at 64, which is also an impressive number at the highest level. Takedown accuracy is 50% for O'Malley, but he doesn't really take anybody down, and 61 for Jan, which he hardly takes people down, but he likes to press them against the fence, and if there's an opening, he'll shoot. What I'm looking at on numbers is landed per minute. There's 7.75 from O'Malley and 5.45 from Petr Yan there. That means that these guys are going to be
high numbers.
High
on
both
numbers.
Sides. Those are extreme. So just so you guys know, a 205er to heavyweight or 185 to heavyweight, those guys throw on average a 1.62 to 182. These guys are at 135 throwing 5 to 7.5 per minute. That's a lot of action going on. Significant strikes, 62% accuracy on Sean O'Malley. We have 53% accuracy on Petr Yan's side. Absorbed, this is an important number, 3.88 on Yan and 3.48 on O'Malley. They absorb the same amount of damage, meaning O'Malley throws more and lands more. Yan throws 5, O'Malley throws 7. They absorb the same amount.
Let's pause there.
They absorb the same amount. But the defense, look at the defense, 61% on Yan and 64% on O'Malley. This is a tight fight on paper. Look,
this is why you can't just rely on statistics, all right? Because the numbers can say one thing, but you have to really, if you've been watching fights, clearly a lot of those fights have come in that Moutinho, whatever that guy, green-haired dude's name is, who came in there and took a fucking ass whooping in his first UFC fight. Now, credit to that guy, he had heart, but the point is that those stats skyrocket when you're teeing off on somebody for 15 minutes and you're fighting tomato cans, okay? You're not doing 7.75 to a guy who has better footwork, better boxing, and way, way more technical of a striker. Now, O'Malley has knockout power. He just fought Pedro Munoz, which I believe is a no contest. So that makes him 8-1-0 and 1 no contest in his UFC career. That's a great record. Most of those fights are against very low-end competition. He's only taken on a few big names. To me, knockout power, the flashy moves, that's great. I don't see this guy getting past Petr Yan, who has 7 knockouts, 16-3, and his only 2 losses in the UFC are to the current champion, who I think would also run right through O'Malley. O'Malley can't get leg kicked. He has weak ass legs. I don't care what he says or what his fans say. You got shut down twice from getting leg kicked. Anybody hits you in the right sweet spot in that, you're going down. Now, Petr Yan has a stat in his favor as well. His average fight time is 16 minutes and 12 seconds, where O'Malley's is 8 minutes, 25 seconds. O'Malley hasn't been pushed in a hard, grinding fight. For example, like Corey Sandhagen, who also has the flashy moves, who we've seen prove himself. This is a big, big test for Sean O'Malley. I like Sean O'Malley, but I just don't think he's ready for somebody like Petr Yan, who has championship experience, who's fought really good strikers and heavy hitters like Jose Aldo. I mean, Aljo, I wouldn't consider him a heavy hitter, but he's also fought like Corey Sandhagen and guys like that. So to me, O'Malley's in a world of trouble.
My personal opinion, I think this is a great matchup for O'Malley. I think a lot of people are slipping on that. I think he has a lot of attributes. He's tall, lanky, 5'11", 135. You're not going to get much better than that with a frame that he has. He has skinny legs, yes, but he has a great frame. His takedown defense is good. He has long, reachy range, and he's his spin attacks, very accurate, very dangerous, very quick. I think Yan gets pushed to his limit for 3 rounds because he honestly doesn't start picking up till round 4 or 5 anyways. And I promise you, in round 3, we're gonna see some real exchanges by Sean O'Malley, and I think O'Malley slips in a spinning kick and knocks him out in round 3.
This is why your name's Crazy Chris. How can you sit there and say that when you're only as good as your last fight? How do you say that when he couldn't do shit against Pedro Munoz?
Because nobody can take. Who takes him down? Who really takes Sean O'Malley down? Who really takes him down? Even when he fought Cheeto Vera kicked his leg from under him and he fell down and he jumped on him. He didn't shoot in and take him down. And Pedro Munoz tried how many times? Could not get the takedown.
And okay, on scorecards, Pedro was winning that fight. So besides all the bullshit that this guy's fans are hyping him up, he wasn't going to win. It wasn't good for him. He wasn't landing shots against Pedro. What are you going to do against Petr, who can match your footwork and outmaneuver you?
I think we see Sean O'Malley treat Petr Yan like fucking Chris Mustafio or whatever that kid was, and he's gonna bounce his head around for 3 rounds until he has absorbed enough punishment and goes down. I think everybody's slipping on this kid. Sean O'Malley's the future of this sport. He's ranked number 13, well deserved, and he's fighting number 1 because that guy's a midget at 5'6", who's lost 2 fights in a row from Aljamain Sterling, and he's on a downcline. This is a perfect time for a young cat with extremely good hands and street fight knowledge to go in there and just lay work on this guy. And I really think, I know a lot of guys in the comment like street fight knowledge that plays a factor, man, because what I'm saying is this guy's a dog. He has a dog heart. He doesn't care whether he's like Nate Diaz. You got to take him out of there.
So let's get the prediction. What do you got for this?
Yan, I was just about to get to that. Yan cracks under pressure. He gets frustrated in fights. Round 3, I think he gets TKO'd by Sean O'Malley.
You're crazy. I think the complete polar opposite of that. I think Petr Yan is licking his fucking chops, thinking this guy is literally going to stand in front of me and try to fight me like toe to toe. And O'Malley might crack him hard. He definitely can do that. I'm not going to sit here and act like this guy doesn't have any chance of winning. But realistically, they're going to get into some nasty exchanges. And what Sean O'Malley is going to feel for the first time is getting hit hard by a guy who can actually punch and who isn't afraid of him.
I was going to say this. Sean O'Malley's coach is so smart that right now he's probably working on timing and distance. And I swear to you, he's going to fucking crack him because he's so long and lanky that he made a mistake with Pedro Munoz. Munoz did really good dancing and mirroring. But in a real situation, Jan's not going to do that. He's going to fight. And when he fights, he's going to realize that this fucking guy is ready to fight back. And I think we see a big upset there.
Well, regardless, this is one of the biggest fights on this fight card. I'm just as excited for this fight as That's the main event and co-main
So
event.
what's your prediction though? We didn't get a full prediction. What's your
Oh,
prediction? What's
third
the outcome?
round TKO by Petr Yan. I think
So we both got a third round TKO on the opposite side.
the first round is they're gonna feel each other out for sure.
For sure.
Maybe somebody might get cracked
Second
hard.
round, they're going to start picking up. A third round, they're going to start throwing. And the third round, they're going to realize somebody's winning, somebody's losing. And
Look,
I'm telling you, Sean O'Malley cracks his
if
ass.
you guys are betting money on this fight, this fight is not going the distance. Straight up. It could be a first round knockout either way. It could be a first round. It doesn't one round or another. To me, I think it's going to go 3 because these guys are both good fighters. They're both durable. But I just think that Peter's too good, too much experience, and he's a great boxer.
That's a great, it's a great prediction. I'm just going the other way. I just feel I feel that he has the attributes, and if I was building a fighter, I'd build a guy at 135 just like Sean O'Malley. You know what I mean? So,
and I'm just one of
feel
those
like he has a
guys, man.
chance.
I just don't believe the hype. I just want to see you lay it down because the only
Well, that
guy
already happened. Well, that already happened with Cheeto Vera, right? We've got proven that when it comes to tough competition, he's gonna get fucking swallowed up. So what the UFC do? They put him back on track, made him fight a couple more guys on the lower end, said, okay, you feeling good? You want to get some better guys in there? Then we gave him Pedro Munoz, saw Pedro cracked under pressure, like we saw. He was winning that fight and cracked under pressure.
And the
all
thing
right?
is,
You know what I mean?
even if O'Malley, I'm not saying you don't know what's going to happen, but even if O'Malley does lose this fight, he doesn't really lose anything. You're 13.
What does he lose? He's not going to lose his ranking.
13 taking on number 1. You're a huge draw. Like you're not really losing anything. You only get
The only thing that he did smart was he took a fight on a fucking pay-per-view and had 3 rounds instead of 5, because they easily could have moved this around and made TJ or another one a fucking main event somewhere else. Because if you look at the previous 2 fight events before this one, they're shit. So they really are giving us a treat with this one. Like you said, I'm just very excited to see this fight.
Well, moving on to another big fight and the return of number 6, Beneil Dariush is going down to welterweight. He's gonna be taking on number 9. I think his name's Mateus Gamrot. Now, if you guys missed out, Gamrot and Sarkurian had probably the fight of the fucking year.
Great. Oh my God, what a great fight.
Beneil Dariush he's very underrated. A lot of people just throw this man under the bus because they probably don't know him. He's not a big name.
I'm gonna cut you off right there, bro. I'm gonna give you my prediction right now. Fucking Mateus Gamrot, round 3 submission. I see that they go to war. I think he wears down Dariush and he gets the submission because that guy is such a fucking dog, man.
I don't think he's gonna get a submission. I think he's gonna get a knockout. But Beneil Dariush is on a 7-fight win streak. He does have 7 first-round finishes, 8 submissions in his career, but he didn't fight since May of 2021. Gamrot just fought in a fucking war, landed some nasty strikes that only Arman Sakurian could take, and was able to fight through and ended up losing a split decision. But Gamrot's a fucking badass grappler. So is Beneil Dariush.
Let's not forget. Gamrot came on the scene, bro. He twisted up Jeremy Stevens like in 35 seconds with a Kimura. Who does that to Jeremy Stevens? Not anybody. I've never seen anybody do that to him.
This is a very underrated fight because of obviously all the other big fights on here.
It's another grappler's delight, right?
This is going to be, it could be a grappler's delight, but both of these guys can stand and bake. Beneil Dariush has 5 knockouts. Gamrot has 7 knockouts. This could go either way. I just think that their grappling is going to offset each other, and I think Gamrot's going to get a 3rd round knockout.
That's a great prediction as well.
Beneil's coming off of an injury. He's been on a layoff. I just don't see him winning this fight.
I just, the thing about Beneil, bro, is not, I don't have anything personal against him. I actually really like him. It's just like you just said, he's coming off an injury that people don't even know he's injured. He's coming off injury, hitting that really well, and he's also been sitting on the bench since Tony fight, and Tony was on a decline. So he went in there and fucking grappled somebody for 3 rounds and won a fight. That's not a war. Gamrot's been going through the rankings, banging guys up. And I mean young guys, older guys, tough guys, veterans. This guy's the real deal. And I just don't think meeting him at this time or this stage is beneficial for Dariush. If you look at it, yeah, you're fighting number 9. But, brother, this is not the matchup that you wanted to avoid this one and go up in the cards and fight somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake. I think we have Gamrot. I'm going to say 2 or 3. Round 2 or 3, he gets a submission done for sure.
I just don't feel that that's a good return fight for Beneil. But
all right, so we got the welterweight bout of Belal Muhammad coming in at number 5 against Sean Brady, rising star, number 8, made his way to the top 10. Who do you have, Mad Maddie?
Well, first of all, Belal Muhammad's 21-3, 1-0 contest, and Sean Brady's 15-0. This is a big matchup and a big risk for Belal Muhammad, who didn't have.
Absolutely.
He definitely could have argued and stayed out there and tried to wait for a title shot. But I like Belal because he doesn't give a fuck. Sean Brady is a
Belal's a
badass
dog
fighter.
too, man.
Both of these guys have really good skills, all well-rounded. Brady doesn't really get the recognition that he deserves. He is 15-0, but the only, to me, like, and this is fucked up to say this because I'm not a pro fighter, but his biggest wins are over Michael Chiesa and Jake Matthews. Everybody else, not relatively that big of a name. Now, Belal Muhammad just beat the shit out of Luque, Stephen Thompson, and Damian Maia. I don't think this is a good fight for Sean Brady. I think Belal Muhammad is a dark horse of the welterweight division. He's a guy who should be absolutely feared. He reminds me a lot of George St. Pierre, minus the flashy karate. He has good striking and he has outstanding grappling. I really think Belal Muhammad is going to get the win in this fight. I don't see Sean Brady, other than being able to knock him the fuck out, which he is totally capable of doing. I just don't see it happening because Belal is involved so much. I got Belal Muhammad.
How do you think he gets it done?
I got 3-round decision. What do you think?
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I'm actually exactly where you are, Belal Muhammad, 3-round decision. I'll tell you why. And this is like, I'm looking through the stats and I'm trying to make sure, I'm picking the guys and I'm looking at the numbers and this fight, out of all the fights, got me blown away. And I'll tell you why in a second. But Belal Muhammad, round 3 decision. I'm looking at the fights here and I'm looking at the ways they win, right? Stats. How do you win a fight? We have Belal Muhammad at 4% KO TKO and Sean Brady at a 2% KO TKO. Submission, we have a 1% for Belal Muhammad and 2% for Sean Brady. Decisions, we have 96% Sean Brady and 95% Belal Muhammad.
Fucking decision machines.
Their average fight time for Belal Muhammad is 13 minutes and 56 seconds. This guy only goes to decisions. The average fight time for Sean Brady is 13 minutes and 3 seconds. Again, meaning he hasn't finished very many fights. Knockdown average per 15 minutes. Okay. 0 for Belal Muhammad and 0.23 for Sean Brady.
And the
so
reason,
he might have tricked a couple, tripped to one person.
Well, and to me, the difference is Belal's fought tougher fighters, and the thing he does in every fight is he pressures. Brady likes to stand and trade, and he can grapple, but Brady's going to be on the back pedal defending takedowns. We've seen time and time again that shit wins fights. Dillashaw and Sandhagen. I think there was a more recent one than that where it was just pressure takedowns won the fight. I mean, if really that's all
the Jose Aldo fight against
fucking Davili, Marab. So yeah, that just goes to he didn't land a single fucking takedown. 0 for 15. It was like won the fight.
0 for 16, yeah, over 15, 0 for 16, and won the fight. So this is the thing but I want to bring that up because when you're looking at this tells you this fight's going to go to the decision. Now let's look at the significant strikes. So this is the grappling, right? Significant strikes. Belal Muhammad just behind. Absorbed strikes, he's just above, right? 3.58 absorbed. Sean Brady 3.22. Again, defense for Sean Brady, 62% defense, 59% for Belal. On paper, this is just a tight fight. And I think, like you said, the big difference is going to be pressure. Sean Brady does not like to pressure people. He doesn't want to put himself out of position. Belal Muhammad, he's, like you said, the dark horse. He comes in there and he goes to work. And I like that style. I like the pressure style. If you're not going to fucking knock somebody out, you're not going to take them down and submit them. Put in work. Go to work on him. Punch him in the face. Make him bleed. Make him wear down. Give him the Khabib treatment.
If you can win a fight against a guy like Damian Maia, that means your grappling's on point. Because Maia's one of those guys you take him down.
Sean Brady. Oh, I was going to say, no, I was just agreeing with you. If Sean Brady hasn't fought that level of competition and Belal Muhammad has, he fought the current champ. He was on track to fight the old champ. I mean, he's fought Damian Maia. He's Stephen Thompson, and he had a no contest with Leon Edward, and that was just last year.
To be honest,
the guy's on point for a win.
Bilal's crazy because I would rather him fight Colby Covington. I think that's a much better fight. Like that's a bigger test.
Well, for status, yes, but for what he has to do to make a check and move on in rankings and just move on and get the next fight out and try to clear the path. He's taking on Sean Brady, which is not a bad fight. Get a young guy, tear him up, and move on to the division. My prediction again, Belal Muhammad, round 3 decision. Yours is the same, and I think the stats tell the story, and I think that pressure is going to make the biggest difference here.
Now, guys, don't forget UFC 280. It's going on October 22nd. Now, it's going on in Abu Dhabi, so it's going to be an earlier fight card. I think prelims start at 11 a.m., and the main card starts at 2 p.m., so don't miss that shit. Hit us in the comments. Let us know who you guys have winning in all of these fights. I'm very curious. And remember, Chris bets on parlays all the time. I just do one person. So
my personal parlay on this one is going to be Gamrot, Belal Muhammad, and Sean O'Malley. So if you guys like parlays, that's a good parlay that I'm throwing down on.
Yep. And don't forget, guys, hit the bell icon to be notified when we drop more content. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Haters talking shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an